On this episode, we're recapping our fourth and final day at Disneyland, and it's a wild one packed with thrilling rides, creative eats, and a magic evening to cap off the trip. Today's May 6, 2025, and this is episode 769 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys!
If you want to be part of the community and join the conversation, get the latest theme park news, as well as live streams from the parks and resorts, head to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic, and on TikTok at MSM Podcast.
Planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World can be overwhelming and at times just downright frustrating. But don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.
Are you ready for your bucket list trip? Our trusted partner, MEI Travel, will handle the planning so you can focus on the memories. They offer free vacation planning services and have nearly 20 years of experience creating memorable vacations. Visit mainstmagic.com/travel for a fee-free, no-obligation quote today. Are you looking to recharge your body and mind while visiting Central Florida and the Walt Disney World area? Discover Soul Wellness, a holistic mobile wellness company offering massage therapy, stretch therapy, and more, all in the comfort of your resort, vacation rental, or home. Whether you're recovering from long park days or simply need to relax, their licensed professionals bring the spa to you. Serving the Disney Four Corners and Greater Orlando area, Soul Wellness makes self-care easy and accessible. Book your session now at soulwellnessllc.com and feel the difference.
Well, just like Disneyland came to an end so quick, this unfortunately is our last and final episode.
I was going to say that. I was going to say the same thing. I didn't know what you were going to start with, and I was going to be like, wow, we got to go through the depression of ending a trip twice. Because we got 4 days of Disneyland, we got 4 days of talking about it, and now both of those things are over.
But we have some stuff coming up.
We got a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Guess what we are doing Thursday?
Yeah, what are we doing Thursday? FOMO got the best of me.
Yes, it did you. We actually don't have a lot planned because of Main Street 16 coming up in a couple of weeks. But Jeremy, comes to me and goes, hear me out. And every time he says that, I'm like, oh God.
And I should just video every time I come
say,
I have an idea or hear me out.
You should. So I rolled my eyes and I'm like, what is it? What's it going to cost me? What is it? And actually, just with Epic Universe, like really pretty much opening its gates to everybody.
Yeah.
And with John being able to do a bunch of stuff, which we truly thank you, John, for all of your hard work. We need to get out there. Yeah. So Jeremy got his tickets on Thursday. So this coming Thursday, we are headed to Epic Universe.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I am too.
Very excited to check it out.
Rachel just went, and we talked to her a little bit through texting, and I'm really, really excited.
I feel like everyone has been but us.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know what? Let's get out of there. Get out there. Some for selfish reasons because we want to go see it, but a lot too to bring that information to everyone before it officially opens.
Yes.
I joke and say it seems like everybody's been there because so many folks that I know in the Central Florida, Orlando area have had an opportunity to go. But yeah, we know that there are so many people that are still interested about it. Is this something that you should plan a trip to? Now, specifically for Epic and Universal, do you add an Epic day into your Disney vacation? So hopefully we can help answer some of those questions.
And then I'm super excited because now that we're going to do it and get y'all the information, I'm excited because when we go in December, we're going with our other family, which is Tina and Rob, and all the children. Yeah. And I just really want to enjoy my children because there's days are getting fewer and far between because we're getting ready, Kaylin, for junior prom right now. Like, she's in the shower and we're recording, and then I'm going to start doing hair and helping her with stuff and hanging out with her. And
Yeah.
holy moly.
Yep. Those moments are slowly getting away from us. So we are excited for that. And then, of course, Main Street 16.
Yep.
At this point will be next weekend. So
holy moly.
yeah, there's still, you can still come on down. You can join us for some things. You can still register a team for Saturday's challenge and all if you want. We have a fun event on Friday. We've got, a lot of cool stuff going on. So go to mainstreet16.com. But let's wrap up our Disneyland trip with this episode. This will be day 4, our final day, because this was the Saturday. April 19th, because on April 20th we got up, we headed to the airport, and we came home. So
yes, we did.
There was nothing happening that day. So let's dive in to our Saturday, our final Disneyland Resort day, and we started it off. So some of the things that we've talked about their version of Lightning Lane, and how it differs, and it's much more like Genie Plus was. You can't book until you're in the park that day, right?
Yep.
You can only book one ride at a time. So some of our strategies by the third park day were revolving around that. 2 major things we had not done were Hyperspace Mountain and the Matterhorn Bobsleds.
Yes.
So when we walked into Disneyland Park that morning, Lucy and I were like, all right, here's the deal. We're going to basically kind of see, does it make more sense to rope drop Hyperspace and grab a Lightning Lane for Matterhorn, or does it make sense to grab or to rope drop Matterhorn and grab a Lightning Lane for Hyperspace Mountain, which of course right now is the Seasons of the Force overlay of Space Mountain. Anyway, all that being said, we figured out it was going to make more sense to rope drop Hyperspace Mountain, and then we grabbed that Lightning Lane for the Matterhorn. So there are obviously some differences between their Space Mountain and ours at Disney World. Theirs was actually opened 2 years after ours. So again,
that makes sense.
Yeah. What we talked about, I think it was in probably the second episode of this, on our first park day, where it was like a lot of the rides at Disneyland feel like they came second.
Right. Because
they feel like they opened a ride, just say in Disney World or somewhere like a Haunted Mansion, and they're like, you know what? This is great. But we can improve.
Yep.
You know what I mean? As opposed to the other way around.
100%.
This one makes sense because they opened the one at Disney World.
Yes, it does.
And they said, how can we make this ride 1,000 times better?
We can do it in Disneyland.
Yeah, we can go ahead now. We're building one in Disneyland. So the difference basically from Space Mountain to Hyperspace Mountain is this Star Wars overlay. So you hurtle through hyperspace while dodging furious dogfights during this high-speed Star Wars adventure. To me, that portion felt like riding Tron.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because you have some screenage, you have some projection, you have kind of some lasers, you have this overlay music.
So cool.
That's what it felt like. But let's go back because the wait was posted at 75 minutes.
Okay.
And again, this one tricks you a little bit because you have outdoor queue. You go into the building and you're like, alrighty, we're going to be there. No, you're not. Because you have some switchbacks in an indoor area.
Yes.
Before you then go technically outside again under a covered space, which is not very long. Then you go in and you're pretty close to the ride.
Right.
So that part we looked at and thought, all right, maybe this won't be so bad.
We all took a guess.
We did. We all took a guess on how long it would actually take.
And Jeremy won.
I guessed that it would be 55 minutes, I think, and it was 54 minutes. So not bad. Under an hour.
Yeah.
Other major difference, of course, is this seats you side by side.
Yes.
This isn't, 4 rows single. You actually get to sit next to someone, which is cool.
Right.
How do you feel about the actual ride? And again, we'll talk about Hyperspace. I honestly, we don't know. We've never ridden Space Mountain without this overlay, so we're not 100% sure what that looks like with some of these screens and possible effects.
Right.
But we're going to talk about Hyperspace and the ride in general.
Right. I'm a little sad that it was just because we couldn't compare it solely. But holy crap, take away the space of it part and the ride itself with being and being smoother and me not getting off and being whipped around so much that I almost have a headache.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
We loved it so much. We looked at riding it again like 2 or 3 times, and every time it just unfortunately did not work.
Yeah.
We both were super sad.
Yeah.
But the hyperspace overlay, I mean, holy crap, that was incredible. So cool.
Yeah.
I loved
this is leaps and bounds better than our Space
Leaps
Mountain.
and bounds.
Leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I don't have regrets from our trip. If I had to sit down and make a list, if somebody was like, you got to tell me 5 regrets, not prioritizing this on day 1 of parks would be one of my regrets.
Yeah.
Because if I would have tried to ride it day 1, day 2, and day 3 of parks.
100%.
Complete. Like,
yep.
This is one that if we were locals, every time we step foot in Disneyland Park, I would try and do this.
Yes,
That's how good it was.
Absolutely.
This goes on a coaster list somewhere for me.
Yeah.
Whereas, Disney World Space Mountain goes on a list of what causes the most pain
and
in
I
your
think
body.
Right. And I think
mind.
it's sad because we were comparing, like, okay, we're like, well, they have a Space Mountain. Well, I don't care really to ride that.
Yeah.
They have a Haunted Mansion. We want to ride that. They have a pirate. I mean, so it was sad because I think that was in both our minds. Like, well, this is probably going to be.
Yeah,
it wasn't
a rush to ride it.
Like, I knew we could sit next to each other, which I'm like, yay, we'll get off with both our backs broken instead of like you getting off and I'm like, we can help each other. I don't know. Or we can, I don't know. I just was thinking, unfortunately, this was not on my list and I'm sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things we would have changed, loved it. Thought it was so good. I can't wait to go back and experience the regular Space Mountain. So that will be super cool. So that was just so impressive. Let's talk about a disappointment because we did go for our lightning lane to Matterhorn Bobsleds.
Mm-hmm.
Now this opened in '59, so this opened 4 years after the park originally opened.
Mm-hmm.
What is cool? It was the first roller coaster at Disneyland Park, first roller coaster style attraction.
Okay.
Right. And it was the first tubular steel coaster in the world, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Don't know what it felt like in '59.
No.
But okay, let's start. It is stunning from the outside. This is like going into Animal Kingdom and seeing Everest, right?
Yes.
I mean,
and this is the one
so
where
cool
that's
looking.
how I got my bearings. Like, I'd be like,
yes,
where's the
where's Matterhorn?
And then I was like, okay, we go this way. And like, if I could see Matterhorn, which usually I pretty much could almost anywhere
gave
in the
you some
park,
bearing on where you were
yes.
within the park. And I'll be honest, another thing that threw us off majorly with finding our way around the park was the closure of Small World right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the temporary construction walls that were up and around it.
Yeah.
Again, if this, we're going to talk about the bobsleds. If this is the first of our Disneyland series that you're listening to, I will just reiterate, a lot of these rides we did once. A lot of these rides we did not do deep dives into ahead of time to find out every little detail about them. So a lot of these rides, for the most part, we went into fairly blind.
Yeah.
Starting with the way that this one would sit you, which is more of like our Space Mountain in theory, where it's 4 or 5 rows of single seats.
Yes.
How did you feel about the ride vehicle overall as you made your way into it?
Fine. It was very Space Mountain-y like. I don't feel like it was like I wasn't safe. Oh, that's right. It was hard.
Yeah.
I was
going to say, are you remembering
right.
the right ride vehicle?
Okay.
Because this one
awful.
felt like somebody built it in their garage.
Yeah, it was. That's right.
Using
there was
welding and some metal bars.
Because there was
and then
no
slap some cardboard on the side of it.
Right. There was no thing to keep you in, correct? Or was there?
I don't remember, honestly. There was no major restraint.
But the seat was really
The seat is
weird.
hard.
Really weird.
The ride vehicle, if you have ever done Dudley Do-Right Ripsaw Falls in Islands of Adventure, which of course is a water style ride, so that's very different. But the seating is very much the same. It's a very open car, I guess you can call it. You know what I mean? So
bobsled.
Yeah, bobsled. Which again, I mean, that makes sense. Being a bobsled ride.
And maybe back then, bobsled seats aren't supposed to be comfortable.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I've
never done
it's
a
one of those.
bobsled.
I'm glad we did it.
Mm-hmm.
I do not see any allure to this ride once you've done it.
It was awful.
It's rough. It's Space Mountain Disney
Outside.
World rough.
Yes.
Except it's outside some. It goes to a mountain.
Yep.
You do see a really cool big Yeti. There's one in there, but I just it's one of those that has a lot of really cool elements. And you got to remember this thing opened in 1959.
Correct.
You know, I don't know what kind of refurbs have gone on since then as far as maybe track replacements or vehicle replacements, but this thing feels like it opened in 1959, and they've done what they need to maintain it to still be a safe ride, but not necessarily an enjoyable one.
Yeah.
So, again, you know, love that we did it. I would certainly go back to Disneyland with somebody who had not been and them say, we want to do the bobsleds, and I would say, cool, we'll ride them with you.
Correct.
But I'm not going to put that out in space as though that's something we would have put on our list as a must-do.
And if we went back with somebody that's already done them.
And I'd be like, do you want to do them? If they said no, I'd be like, cool. If they said yes, then I'd be like, cool, we'll do them again. Maybe unlike Mission Breakout with you, where it's a very small percentage of people that you would do that again for, right?
No, I wouldn't do it for anybody.
You said you would.
You
said like if Rob and Tina went or something, you said you would do it.
I will do the queue, and I will do the, and I will walk out. I'll be like, I'll see y'all on the other side.
Definitely not like that one, but again, we wouldn't choose to do this, but we would do it. Yeah, is pretty much as far as it goes. But we had a little reward afterwards. Our good man Caleb, he ran off to grab us some breakfast chimichangas.
Now, because Lucy rode the bobsleds before, and she knew exactly what this entailed. Yeah. And unfortunately, Caleb's got some stuff going on, hurting with his shoulder, not sure 100%. And because of this, she looked at her husband and said, I do not think you should ride this.
Yeah, you need to sit this one out.
And so he thankfully listened to her. Yeah. And then, so while we were riding it, he was off getting us this amazing breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are another one of the food items. This was probably in my top 5 list of must tries.
Okay.
This is at Ship to Shore Marketplace. It's over near Big Thunder Mountain. It's like a cart. They've got these breakfast chimichangas. They are egg, sausage, potatoes, and cheese inside a fried tortilla. This is all real stuff. This isn't like the shawarma that is plant-based. This is all real meats and dairy and eggs. And then it comes with this side of green tomatillo salsa for $7.49. We got 2 of them because we were going to split one. Lucy and Caleb were going to split one. We can start with you. What did you think of the breakfast chimichanga? We can talk about it the same way we did the shawarma. You have the breakfast chimichanga as is, and then you have it with the salsa, which we tried both ways, correct? I think you did.
I don't know if I did because I don't.
Because I thought we both took our first bite without salsa, sans salsa, I'll call it.
I loved it.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, that fried tortilla, that was so good.
That's how you chimichanga.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Holy crap! It was outstanding, and I loved it. I'd get it again, and I don't remember tasting it with the salsa because it's green, and sometimes I don't like.
Now that I remember, I think you had a bite without. You took a bite with, and then you ate the rest of your bites without.
Yeah, it was so good.
I did every bite with salsa after the first one. I think it's outstanding breakfast chimichanga on its own. It's good. I wouldn't go putting it on a bunch of top lists, but when you add that tomatillo salsa, to me, that took it to a very different level.
Okay.
To me, it went from breakfast chimichanga from a food cart to breakfast chimichanga you'd possibly get at a brunch somewhere sitting down. You know what I mean? Like, that salsa just took it to a whole other level.
Good.
This one lived up to many of my expectations, where maybe that garlic cheese bread felt short for me, or unfortunately the possibly not great pretzel bread version that we got, like, those fell short. This one did not. This hit the mark. I loved it, and I would get this every time we go. You know, and we planned specifically for it.
Yeah.
So now, from my understanding, there is also sometimes a limited red salsa that you can get with it, but I think that it usually is gone within the first, however, hour or so of the morning or something. So green tomatillo is like always there, but I believe there's some sort of red sauce or red salsa.
Do you think that would have been better for you? Because, like, again,
you could have slapped most any sauce on this thing, and it would be good.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, like, you know, now let's go from, all right, chimichanga as is a great breakfast item from a food cart. Chimichanga with tomatillo salsa to me sounds like a great brunch at a sit-down restaurant. If you just put hot sauce on this thing, I think you're eating at a diner. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, so well done. And yeah, it was the fried tortilla that made the difference.
So good.
Because there's nothing great about the inside. Heck, what's on the inside
Egg, sausage,
is what we
potatoes, and
ate
cheese. Yeah.
in the shawarma, which was very
but
good.
it was plant-based.
Well, I know, but you can't tell that much.
No, but I'm
when
just
you
saying.
fry that tortilla, like if this was not a fried tortilla, it was just wrapped.
It would
have been okay.
It would have been okay.
It would have been, but I could have made it at home,
yeah.
no problem.
Yeah.
This thing, I really did enjoy it. Another one, maybe we ate so much food, but if we had gotten this day one, I wouldn't have been disappointed, and I would have gotten it again on this day as well.
Yeah.
So from there, we decided to head kind of over towards downtown Disney to do a little bit more shopping. On the way, though, with no line, this is not on my list to try. It's on my list to have people with me try because we knew we had to do it, and we have not had the opportunity to do it on the boardwalk at Epcot, and that is going to Blue Ribbon Corn Dog.
Yeah.
And I will let you take it from here.
Because there is a pickle corn dog. It's a hot dog wrapped in a pickle, fried in cornmeal batter and panko crusted, served with a bag of chips and peanut butter for $15.50.
Before you get into your review of it,
Okay.
what kind of sicko came up with this idea? and I'm not even talking about the pickle corn dog portion. Like, I hate pickles, okay? But I understand if people like them, the type of varieties they might like them at. Now, some are just gross, okay? Don't put pickles on pizza. There's no need to have an entire section at Five Below of pickle-flavored items, including gummies.
You were so mad about that.
This is gross, man. It's gross. But anyway, I do understand that people might love pickles and things that they try them with. I can understand a pickle corn dog. I want to know who decided to serve it with peanut butter to dip it in.
Yeah, that was
because I
weird.
don't see the connection whatsoever. Yeah. Now, go on to your review, which you and Caleb were very nice to attack this pickle corn dog together and give us your opinions.
Well, first of all, ordering it, it is really cool because they cook. When I was ordering, literally says this will take about 5 to 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Is that okay? And I was like, oh yeah. And so when I say they are freshly, obviously making them, they are.
That's super impressive.
It really was.
And I felt bad because it was one guy working register and making.
I did too.
And not that there was a lot of people there, but he had to really time himself to, I always feel bad for those folks. We go to Cold Stone all the time, and often there is one person working. So this person has to be taking orders, then go ahead, make the ice cream cone or whatever, then go check the person out, all while there's a line.
Yep.
And this was kind of the same. I felt bad for the guy that he had to make and do orders, but he did a wonderful
he made
job.
It fresh out of the hot fryer. And, of course, he says, kind of let it cool down. And I'm just not one to do that. But so my first bite, obviously, I really didn't get much except the breading, and holy moly, that cornmeal batter and panko crusted was fantastic.
That looks super good.
It really was. And with that being said, that with the peanut butter was outstanding.
Yeah.
In fact, I will skip ahead and say that there was so much batter around it that we took some of it off, and Lucy actually was taking that and dipping it in the peanut butter and was very good. And that's one of the first bites I got. So then when I got into the actual pickle hot dog and the batter mixed together, this was a fantastic bite. I absolutely loved it. It really, because the pickle is hollowed out, so you don't get this giant freaking pickle.
Oh yeah. That's
and
true.
what it reminded me of is having a hot dog with pickled relish on it. Yeah. That's the way the bite was and took and tasted and ate. That's to me how it was.
And probably an easier way to consume it, honestly. Yeah. Right? Than having a bun
relish
that can relish on top. That's a little bit messier. This is one solid bite. Yep. This is every flavor, so that makes sense.
And it was really good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Caleb really liked it.
Yeah,
we both ate it.
And with the peanut butter,
yeah, I said, once I got into the pickle and the hot dog, I was weird. The peanut butter is weird to me.
Okay.
But and I took a few bites without it. But of course they have condiments there. You can get ketchup, you can get mustard. I did not put anything on it, but it was just it was really, really good. I'm excited actually now to go to the one over at the boardwalk.
Yeah, I want to get a straight up corn dog.
Yep.
And another thing they had there right now that I'm pretty sure they have at the Disney World is they have that meatball one. Did you see that? So it's basically meatball marinara and cheese on a stick that are then dipped in the cornbread batter and fried. So basically meatball sub on a stick.
Wow.
So I really, really want to try that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so from here we headed back in, through downtown Disney. It was actually Rhonda and I's decision to go make a stop at Ballast Point, which has to tell you how good that place is as, two people who no longer drink alcohol. So the fact that we wanted to go back was, again, just shows you how impressive that selection was.
And it was a good, the grapefruit IPA, what I had was so good. It was so sipping good.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed sitting for a little while because, again, we were on day 4, and I believe my ring that I wear, the Aura ring, told me, because we don't have our Apple Watches anymore, that the 2 of the days, which I think were the 3 and 4th day, we walked over 25,000 steps, which equivalented to 17 miles. So this was on day 4. This was okay. This was us to go, all right, let's just kind of hang out for a little bit.
And you remember, our plan originally was, and we didn't go completely by it, but our plan of Park Day 1 was originally to do mostly Disneyland Resort with some hopping to DCA. Day 2 was going to be DCA with some hopping to Disneyland Park. And then this day was going to be kind of like batting cleanup. So we knew that this day could potentially be a little bit more of a relaxed day in that sense.
Right.
So it was another reason I was like, let's take a break now. And let's go ahead and stop at Ballast Point. So we sat there for a little bit. Now, we ended up back at DCA for more of the food and wine. As I was going back and doing the notes and going through pictures, I believe the first 2 items we're going to talk about, we ate the day before, and I think we missed them. But we're going to go ahead and talk about them now. Again, it doesn't matter to anyone listening other than Lucy. So otherwise people wouldn't know. But let's start off with garlic kissed. They had a sirloin Gruyère mac and cheese with black garlic chimichurri and garlic butter crunch.
This is the one I think we got 2 of.
This is the one that we got 2 of. Not the other one, the other mac and cheese that we had talked about before.
And I loved this one.
This was outstanding, and it was cool that we got 2 of them.
We were actually happy we got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because it was so good. I ate quite a bit of this.
To me, this could have been called cheesesteak mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Because it was a thin, shaved, and cooked sirloin steak. It wasn't, like chunks of it or anything, really. The mac and cheese was great. This black garlic chimichurri on top.
Oh,
yeah,
so
I absolutely loved it. I would get this
garlic was
again
great.
and again. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's move on to Golden Dreams. They have the musubi fried rice. This is Alani Resort-inspired steamed rice with egg, glazed spice ham, umami mayo, and furikake, which is that seafood kind of or seasoning type stuff that they use. This was new this year. I love the musubi that they have now at Walulu Bar and Grill at the new Polynesian Tower. This was that in bowl form, and it was outstanding.
It really was good, actually.
So
I was like, ew, again, because it's Spam. But I tasted it and I was like, dadgummit, because it was really good that I actually had a couple of more bites.
Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about recreating something like this at home. And this would be a lot easier to recreate at home than the musubi, which is done as a sushi roll.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
And that's where I was okay with you recreating this, but we probably need to get it from Publix instead of Costco.
Yeah, we saw Spam at Costco, and I was like, we're not buying like a pallet of Spam.
Yeah.
But everything we have ever had at festivals with Spam in it, we have enjoyed. Again, it's canned ham. It just has, think... Look, nobody says you have to read the ingredients on the box.
That's like baloney, man.
It's like hot dogs, right? Haven't you seen The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd and Chevy, or not Chevy Chase? Oh my gosh, John Candy, and they tell you when the raccoons are eating hot dogs what they're made of. I can't repeat it on air. Loved it though, absolutely loved it. Let's move on to Mercado de Anitos. So they had this Cafe de Ola Tres Leches cake. So this is Cafe de Ola infused Tres Leches topped with pinocchio, chantilly, cinnamon, and a Mickey shaped cookie, new this year. It's this cool little, what would you say? It's like how would you describe
What
the
is
little
that?
container? That it's
A
not
boat?
an oval necessarily, but it's not.
It's like a boat.
Yeah, it's almost
It's like,
a.
ooh, it's like when you were really young, and this is dating us, and you made like the little cardboard like boats and tried to put them in the water to see if they would float and see how long. You remember?
I didn't do that.
Oh.
No, I had better things to do with my. I was
Okay.
I don't really remember that specifically. It to me actually.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I was going to bring up. It was like being a kid when I would go to some sports venues and go to the bathroom, and they have the giant urinal that everybody pees in at the same time.
That's
Don't
gross,
care
and
for
I
them.
wouldn't know what that is
Yeah,
because
you wouldn't.
I'm not a boy.
Yeah, you don't want to wash your hands in that thing. That's all I'm saying. 'Cause
Gross.
You wouldn't know. But what did you think of this?
So this was the funny thing because it was like bite one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't know, because it was wet, very wet. But then, because I mean, everybody knows what what is, how do you say that?
Tres
Tres
leches.
leches cake.
3 milks.
It's 3 milks,
Yeah.
so it should be wet. But my second bite, I was like, once my brain got wrapped around the texture of it, it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, I loved it.
I liked it a lot.
I thought it was absolutely delicious.
Yep.
So this is another one I would get again. Let's move on to Pepper's Cali-Ente. Cali, like California, dash E-N-T-E. Very
Nice.
clever.
Very
Good job,
clever.
Disney. They had a shrimp papas locas, cheddar bacon potatoes with jalapeno cheese sauce, and spicy shrimp featuring tahine chili lime sauce. They had a corn chip chili pie featuring impossible beef, seasoned impossible beef, spicy cheese sauce, tomatillos, sliced jalapenos, and cream. This is new this year, and it was served in a little tiny brown lunch bag. What are you making a face for?
I don't remember eating any of these.
You don't remember these two? Because they were both absolutely outstanding.
I don't know if
Caleb and I love this
Isn't
corn
this-
chip chili pie. We went back near Sonoma Terrace
I took
and we
a bite.
ate them as our DVC things kept
Because
going off asking us
I
to buy.
was eating the chimichurri steak and
Mac and cheese.
I loved that.
Yeah.
So that's right. I took a bite of the corn chili pie, which was good. It was good, but I was like, I love the other stuff, so I was letting y'all
Yeah.
eat that.
Outstanding. I mean, you had, for the
was good.
corn chip chili pie,
Yeah.
this is Fritos.
Yeah.
Topped with an impossible meat kind of taco blend, your cheeses, your spicy tomato, jalapeno cream. It was
What's the
outstanding.
walking tacos? Is that
That's
what it's
basically
called?
it's a walking
Yes,
taco. Yeah.
that's what it reminded
It's
me
exactly
of.
what
and
it was.
Was a
Instead
very
of
good-
just opening a bag of chips and dumping it in the chips,
Right.
they compose it in a small brown paper bag.
and it was good.
Yeah, very good. The shrimp papas locos was outstanding.
I don't think I took a bite of that.
Oh, you
one
didn't? Oh,
because
so
it was
good.
a lot of spice, and I was like, I
Yeah.
just was. I think
I-
I let you because you really liked it.
It was
so.
like a cheddar bacon mashed potato.
Mm-hmm.
Then it had these nice sized shrimp on top that were perfectly cooked. I think there was about 3 of them. It had the sauce and the tahine, chili lime.
I did taste it.
I really enjoyed this.
Because you made me. Because I took a bite with the potatoes, and then you said, "Did you get a shrimp?"
Yeah.
And there wasn't many shrimp. I wasn't going to. That's right, and I did. And
Yeah.
then it was good, but I knew you just loved it, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
just
if I could go to a Mexican restaurant and order this as an entree with a side of like flour tortillas, warm
Mm-hmm.
flour tortillas, I'd be hard pressed not to get this every time I went to that Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
I really thought it was wonderful.
Good.
I believe this will end because, at this Pepper's Cali-Ente is when we learned that we talked about earlier.
Right.
You can order everything you want from a single booth.
and we did, and
We did at this
finished
point.
out.
Yeah, we finished out our cards, and that's
cards.
where we missed out because later some things were closed.
Right.
I think we had 3 items: the Snicker macaroon and
Right.
2 other items. We went back to get, and at that point, the booths were closed. So again, that was our fault. But
Right.
we had booked a lunch. So that day one, we had stopped at Lamplight Lounge, and we sat in the outdoor bar area, kind of overlooking Pixar Pier, looking right at Incredicoaster and the Death Wheel. And so we had booked actually a Lamplight Lounge lunch, a sit down. So we had that for our lunch that day.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about kind of atmosphere? Because we ended up sitting outside there as well on the water. You
Yeah,
go
that was-
downstairs.
yeah, that was
right?
cool. That
and
was
you walk
cool.
through the main lounge area,
Yeah.
which
That-
was super cool.
That was super cool. I was a little sad we sat outside, but it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
It was. It worked out
'cause
well,
was
but
the
I would have
beau-
liked to have
It
sat
was the
inside.
last day where I actually wore, when I wore my leggings, because I wore leggings all week, I wore a long sleeve, but I was able to take it off for most of the like daylight, like hot day, like, you know, your 10 to 3-ish
This was
time.
the most perfect weather day.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So I was not sad that we were sitting outside on that aspect of it, but I was sad because, you know, the lounge looked really cool.
Yeah, it's all Pixar done, but Coco themed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So there's lots of artwork and history all over the walls about Pixar, but the actual lounge is much more themed to Coco with the chairs and the colors and everything. It's just beautiful inside. But you know, you could find worse place to sit than that outside area because it's pretty awesome.
We
as well.
were on the water, and then we were staring at the wheel and the Incredicoaster.
Yeah.
So, well, me and you were like, you know, when you have a table of 4 like that, then you have somebody looking like Lucy and Caleb like into.
They just had to stare at us.
Yeah.
So they had the bad view. We got the good view.
But also into the lounge area.
Yeah.
But this was beautiful because this is what made me ask, like, are we literally near the coast? Like, because of the way the wheel looked and the Incredicoaster looked, I felt like where
the ocean
it
was on the other side of it.
The ocean,
right? 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, completely.
Like a what do you call it? Like a what's the place? Isn't there a pier place? What?
Like Santa Monica or something like that. Yeah. It felt like we were on the coast, and on the other side of that boardwalk pier, you would have just seen the Pacific Ocean here.
Right.
So, little geography lesson for you. That's on that side. So I got a different non-alcoholic beverage than I did that first day, and I went with the 2319, of course, coming from Monsters, Inc. This is a frozen mocktail made with strawberry puree, cream of coconut, and pineapple juice, and it's topped with Coca-Cola for $8.
Mm-hmm. What'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It was a nice take on a pina colada. Really, you know, you got cream of coconut and pineapple juice, right? Very pina colada. Mm-hmm. You add You add a little bit of that strawberry puree, even just that topping with the carbonation and that hit of Coke. The same way you would get a hit of Coke in a Long Island iced tea. You know what I mean? It's not like you're sitting there going, I'm drinking a Coke with some other stuff in it. You know that you're drinking a beverage that has a hit of Coke for a carbonation reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I really enjoyed it. I would get this again. Out of the ones that we had there, this was probably my favorite one.
Nice.
I really liked it. And especially this day where it was warmer.
Right.
And it did feel like we're sitting there at the beach.
Right.
So we decided collectively as a table, we would basically get... Because they have like bites, then they have appetizers, they have some entrees.
And we just ate all this food and wine stuff.
Yes.
So I wasn't very hungry, but...
Also at this time, I don't know if they were completely removed from the menu or if they only were at this point for a reason, but they did not have the lobster nachos. Now, Lucy and Caleb have had in the past, and she said they're good. They're not like the greatest thing in the world, but I did want to get them and try them, but we were unable to. So, and again, that was on my list of things to try. They just were not serving them. Again, I don't know if that's moving forward or if that was part of DCA and some menu rotations and changes or what. They were still doing the barbacoa nachos, which Lucy and Caleb love as well, but we decided not to do those. What is one of the things, or do you want to read all 3 that we got and then we'll talk about them?
Yeah, because one of the things on here is I was like, well, if we are ordering separately, this is what I wanted. And one of the things was the Brussels Caesar. So this is house-made dressing, toasted pine nuts, and garlic croutons with roasted red pepper tomato sauce and Parmesan for $15. They had potato skins that we went ahead and got, which was with paprika aioli, house ranch, cheddar cheese, bacon, Swiss sauce, and chives for $17. And then barbacoa tamales. This is a pumpkin mole, pickled onions, crema queso fresco, and toasted pumpkin seeds for $21.
Let's start with, I'm not going to say bad, but possibly our least favorite, would you say, were the potato skins?
Oh, because they were really weird.
They weren't potato skins.
They weren't.
What I would call
rounds.
these were I would call them hash brown patties.
Yeah.
Because if you think of a hash brown, and I just have to use this to give a visual from McDonald's, right? That's in a patty form.
Yeah.
That is what they were big, thick circles, probably 3/4 inch. They were, looked like they were breaded basically with a creamy-ish kind of potato center, which to me had a feeling of almost maybe a mashed potato meets like shredded hash brown texture inside with the crunchy
agree.
outside, right?
Yeah.
And then it had all the other stuff with it, the cheddar cheese and the ranch, the bacon, all that stuff. What did you think of them once you got to past that? I'm sorry, we ordered the potato skins because again, I'm expecting a potato that has been cut in half.
Right.
You've taken the stuff out of it and you filled it with bacon and all this other stuff.
Right.
You bake it again and, like almost a twice baked potato, but you're not refilling it with potato. Like you would go to a bar or grill to watch football and order potato skins. I think that's what most people think in their mind.
Right.
Not a giant
Correct.
oversized circle hash brown.
Correct.
With that being said, what did you think?
I mean, it was good. It was not bad. But yes, I think it was the least favorite of the three. And of course, once you got all the things together, it was really good. But
it was.
You did need a bite of everything together.
Yes. Yeah. Like the hash brown portion on its own just didn't live up to what I would hope, but everything together was very good.
Yes.
This is to me is a very brunch-worthy dish and could be a brunch-worthy entree if you slapped 2 over easy eggs over top of it all. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty good that way. Yeah. So, glad we got it. Glad we tried their take on potato skins. Yeah. I don't know that I would reorder it going back.
True.
Again, not because it wasn't good. There's just better things and other things I'd want to try.
Yeah.
One of those being the Brussels Caesar that you mentioned.
Okay, this was my favorite.
This was outstanding.
This was so good. Like, holy crap. Like, I'm glad that, everybody, I don't want to say didn't love it, but left enough that I just
that you could eat. Yeah, you probably ate more. The most of that dish, right?
Like, the dressing was so good on top of it. Pine nuts, because some of the Brussels were a little softer. They were charred just perfectly, too, because you got some of that. I love this dish. Yeah. I would get this 100% again.
It's Brussels sprouts, right? There's always an S on the Brussels. I don't think it's Brussels sprouts because this is called Brussels Caesar, right? I think it's still called Brussels sprouts. It's not Brussels sprouts.
I don't know, man.
Anyway, look, Brussels sprouts have been the in thing now for a while, and I feel like they're still going. Good for them.
I love them.
What was your interpretation of Brussels sprouts growing? Did you have them growing up? Did your mom? It seems like something your mom would have made.
I feel like yes.
But they used to be
I don't remember.
Boiled or steamed
I don't
with
remember.
nothing. We never
I'd have
ate
to
them.
ask her.
Do you ever see my parents eating Brussels sprouts?
No.
Heck no. So I didn't eat them growing up. But
I remember broccoli, cauliflower.
We would eat
a lot
broccoli
of
growing
that.
up. We did not do cauliflower ever until I was. Yeah, it does smell like farts. Delicious farts. But
I didn't say
you can do a lot with the farts.
Smells.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a very, very. You can do
It's a
so much
family
with those
show.
farts. But I had from watching TV and movies, there was this. That was the thing where steamed, bland looking, lost their green color Brussels sprouts were put on the plate in front of somebody that they turned their nose up and didn't want to eat. And then all of a sudden they had this, I don't know who came out with, hey, let's roast them. Let's put them with bacon. Let's put them with pine
Honey,
nuts.
let's put 'em with
honey.
this.
Let's do all these different things, right?
So good.
Most of the places you go to get them are good, but they're not like changing the game. You know what I mean? They're not reinventing the wheel in this sense. They're all good, but they're similar. I thought they took a great chance with these by turning it into basically a Caesar-style salad with a dressing, with the pine nuts. They had croutons, roasted red pepper sauce with it. They really went outside of the box compared to what I think a lot of places are doing with Brussels sprouts. And they did an awesome job of it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was outstanding. It eats like a meal, even though it has no protein or meat with it like that. It's another one. Like, you serve this with some grilled sliced chicken or steak or shrimp, all as one, and you've got yourself like one heck of an entree.
Yeah.
So I would get these again when we go back at some point.
Yeah.
Barbacoa tamales are part of the Food and Wine Festival menus right now.
Oh, okay.
We had learned earlier, like, Lucy tends to like mole. I have found I don't traditionally tend to like mole very much. But this was a pumpkin mole barbacoa. We love tamales, so we thought we would get it.
Tamales.
I thought this was outstanding.
This was great.
Yeah, this
Fantastic.
was really, really good. I think I remember all four. Like, Caleb does not care for moles, but I think he enjoyed it even. Lucy and I really loved this dish. And it's another one. It's like, give me an entree of this at a Mexican restaurant, and I'll go back and forth with my shrimp that I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So I would hands down get this again if we happen to go back during Food and Wine, and they have it again.
Yeah.
But I really liked us doing this kind of communal sharing of a bunch of meals. It really is the most fun way, I think, to dine with friends.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like everybody kind of has a collective idea of what they want. You order together, you pass around plates. Like, it's so communal. It's just great. So we had a blast doing this. From there, we had wanted to hit Trader Sam's, which is over at the Disneyland Hotel. So we had kind of tried that first day that we were over in that area, and it just didn't work out. So we thought we'll specifically go over and try again. As we got over there, you can join the walk-up list. Lucy did that. I think had like a 35-minute return time.
Yep.
So we went back to Broken Spell Lounge.
Yep.
Had some other stuff there. I got the non-alcoholic beer again. I think
That
you had water.
might have been the mojito.
Oh, is that maybe when you got the mojito?
Yeah, I
but
don't
yeah,
know.
so just sat there for a little bit until our table was called, and we headed over to Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Bar. Let's go with, I guess, impressions and thoughts on atmosphere and such, and then we'll get into some of the drinks and food.
Well, let's start by saying, when you think of Trader Sam's at the Polynesian,
I'm just saying it.
this ain't it. This is 100 times.
Part of it is it. But not the part that most people get to enjoy.
Right. This is so weird because apparently part of here, Trader Sam's, is outside on this deck area.
Yeah, very large deck area.
Very large, very pretty, very very Hawaii Polynesian like.
It's an outstanding setting.
But
it's not Trader Sam's if you've been to Trader Sam's at Disney World.
Right. So that was super weird. Lucy did say, go to the bathroom so you can see. We did go inside to the bathroom. To me, their focus here in Disneyland is the bar. Like it's like in the center, I feel like, and it's a larger bar. And then you have tables around it.
Much smaller though. I mean, it feels much smaller.
I don't
than
feel like
our Trader Sam's,
no,
I think.
I
Really?
don't
You
feel
didn't
like
think
that.
so?
No.
Okay.
I feel like if anything, it's the same size or a tiny bit larger because the bar was so large.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
But
here's the thing.
darker,
Right, but here's the thing that Ron is talking about. Why did we have to go pretend to use the bathroom? Because they don't let you go. You don't go in it otherwise, though.
Right.
Why didn't act like you just went in there, sat on a toilet, checked your phone, and got out? Like you didn't. Nobody was following you to see what was happening in there. I'm just saying. It's not like they say, "Let me take you to your outdoor table," and you walk through it. Like,
correct.
You don't get to see it
No.
unless you go, "I got to go to the bathroom. Can I go in there?"
Right.
But when you put in on a wait list, you get what you get. And the chances of you getting inside are slim. So I wish that it had a separation. I wish it was like you could book for inside or you could book for outside.
If you get, I think Lucy was saying something about like if you get like prior reservations instead of a walk-up.
Okay.
They pretty much try to accommodate the prior reservations
First by putting recommendations or whatever they want inside.
Right.
Yeah, it just, and here's the thing. If you didn't know or hadn't been to the Trader Sam's at the Polynesian in Disney World, this place would be great.
Right.
It's the fact that we now have to compare.
Right.
And the outdoor was beautiful. It didn't feel like a Trader Sam's.
And it was weird.
It just, I didn't.
Because again, we've been to Trader Sam's. I was curious of this and knowing what they do, and they spritz you, and all the show that they do.
Yeah.
And then there was no show. There was nothing because
we got nothing because we're outside.
So then, in my opinion, and this is just, and I'm not trying to be mean or step on anybody's toes, but I'm sitting here thinking, why are we just sitting on this outdoor like place? I'm not even really hungry when we could be in the park riding some rides.
Agree 100%. Yeah. Agree 100%.
Dumb.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
Like knowing, if ahead of time it was like, look, you're going to sit outside. That's just what's going to happen. Yeah, I would have, again,
I'd have probably been
prioritized
like, I'm
things
good.
differently. Yeah, I would have prioritized things differently. So, but we had a wonderful time sitting out there, as we did. Lucy
we
and
did get
Caleb,
some food.
they have a lot of the same drinks and stuff. They got the tiki rum, the hippopota Mai Tai. I got the Rationale non-alcoholic Mexican-style lager there again. One thing I will say that I will give them the nod, we did eat some food we'll talk about. They have a really great food menu. We don't have a lot of items. What do we have? Less than half a dozen, I feel like, at our Trader Sam's. They've got a good 12 to 15.
Yeah, and I think they just added more stuff at our Trader Sam's.
Oh, did they? Well, I know we need to get back there.
Well, I mean, remember like you had like
I had the tacos one time, yeah. But they've had stuff like that for a while.
Right, but not a lot, right?
We just never got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a lot. No, they don't have a lot of stuff there. Here they've got chicken tenders. They've got pork nacho poutine. They've got shrimp tempura, chicken wings, ramen, cheeseburger, Hawaiian platters, like all kinds of stuff.
Poke bowl.
So what we got was Lucy ordered the poke bowl.
She did.
You could get a choice of ahi tuna, salmon, or marinated tofu with smashed avocado, sliced cucumber, edamame, and imitation crab salad with sushi rice. It's topped with crispy fried onions and togarashi aioli for $24. She chose the ahi tuna. We had a couple bites. This was kind of, this is what she really wanted there.
Yeah.
And she had wanted poke. And, we've talked about, like, I'll say with pizza. Sometimes I crave pizza and I'll get pizza, but it doesn't necessarily fill that pizza craving.
Right.
This filled her poke bowl craving. Had a bite or two. It was delicious. This was at that point, this was such a perfect setting when you are sitting outside, you're looking at tiki torches, you're looking up at the Disneyland Hotel. There's some, ambiance and music playing. At that point, it felt more like a location you'd want to go, but you're still like, man, what if I was eating that inside? But I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
You, of course, wanted what?
Well, I saw that they had fried pork and vegetable pot stickers topped with a sauce.
Unagi.
And
Bonito flakes with the little fish flakes.
And served with
gochujang.
For $18.
Yeah.
Now there was only like 5 of them.
Somewhere around that.
There was not many.
Yeah, it's not
they
a
were
big
really good.
Bowl. Like you go to Tambu Lounge, and you're sitting there
I
like,
know, and
does this like bartender really like me? Because
Yes.
they just gave me what has to be double the serving of a
Right.
normal one,
And
it's a regular serving.
kind of hoping that's what I was getting.
And
they were really good though.
dumplings at our Tambu might be like around $15 to $18.
Yeah,
and you get 2 to 3 times as many.
Right.
One
So-
time we did count, and we had, I believe, 13 of them.
Okay.
So yeah, 5 or 6 here, but
It was
they were
good.
great.
It was
Yeah,
great.
They were really good.
Yep.
Again, it was a perfect setting for those. Like I think once, to get my saltiness out of the way of we're sitting outside, like this isn't really different from a lot of other like once
I
the
hate to
food
say
and
it.
drink came, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, but we're still not inside.
And it still felt like to me being at the Polynesian outside of what Captain Cook's.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So-
It felt like just sitting outside of Captain Cook's. Agreed. But you had somebody waiting on you.
Correct.
So, if you can get inside, I would probably work this into your Disneyland plans. For me personally, and I'm guessing you, when we go back, I wouldn't choose to go if we were going to sit outside.
No.
And the only reason I would is because their menu does look good, and now I would be going for the purpose
Correct.
of an actual meal.
Yes, that's the only reason I'd go.
Yeah, we wouldn't be doing it to do it. We would do it because we wanted a meal
Correct.
from a menu that looks great.
Correct.
And the 2 items we had there were high quality, and they were done very well.
Yeah.
So we can give them all that praise. But our Trader Sam's in a head-to-head battle will absolutely bury this Trader Sam's.
100%.
I want to go back to ours soon.
Yeah.
If we can,
Yeah.
because I just absolutely love it even more now.
Yeah.
So from there, we'd been eyeballing the monorail that is at Disneyland.
Yeah,
right?
because it's super like cute and it looks smaller, but
Yeah.
I'm like, is it just everything looks smaller here?
Kind of.
So
you have you got all right. So there's a stop in downtown Disney, and it takes you to Disneyland, into Disneyland Park at Tomorrowland, right? Now this was the first operating monorail line in the United States. There's a ton of history behind it. It looks very cool going through.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and said, let's get on. It wasn't much of a wait. It was pretty easy to
Thank
go
God.
in there. Man. And if we get hate mail, go ahead and send it. You remember, we have to talk about this monorail without the nostalgia of growing up with it or riding it before or not comparing it to our monorail, which you can say what you want about Disney World's monorail. There's a lot more to be said about this one.
This was the worst ride we rode. This was terrifying.
I would rather do Nemo's Submarine again.
This was terrifying. I thought we were like...
I'm getting so many messages at this moment from people. I can guarantee it.
I possibly thought we were going to fall off.
It feels like it's just going to fall right off the truck.
It was awful.
It tilts.
Oh, God. Oh, that feeling. Oh, yeah.
It's cramped. It's small.
It's very
inside.
small. Like
it feels very old.
Yeah. I
did not care for it.
I did not like it either.
And to be
honest,
honest,
then the windows were open.
Yeah, there's not a lot of scenery.
Yeah.
You go through a bunch of these loops through Tomorrowland.
And it's super fast.
It's very fast. Just like everything. My only gripe at Disneyland is so many things are so fast. You're like, I want to look at some stuff. But it does kind of all these loops through Tomorrowland. But a lot of it is landscaping and trees. You know, now, ride aside and feeling like it was going to fall off the track at any moment. If this circled through Disneyland Park the way that ours does through Epcot, I'd probably be okay, not to that level.
Not to the level, but it did because I was like, did we just go into I was so confused too.
I did not care for this at all. I was like,
can I just get off, please? Get me off. Like, it was very scary. I did not like it.
And none of us really cared for it.
No.
So I'm sorry, folks. I know a lot of people love this.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, a lot of people love. And again, there is a lot of nostalgia.
Sorry, guys.
And I don't know what our feeling would be if we had never ridden Disney World's monorail. You know what I mean?
It'd still be the same one.
I know
still
that,
felt like
but
I was
going to
fall out of it.
But we wouldn't have a comparison. We would just be like, oh, this is what monorails are like. I don't know. See, the thing is, this isn't a transportation method for me. It is an attraction, and I just don't think it's a good one. I'm sorry.
It was super cool to see going through.
Very cool.
Like I did like watching it.
Yeah.
But I did not want to be on it.
I mean, again, glad we did it. I'm good. I crossed it off my list.
Yep.
I don't need to ever add it to a list again. So, sorry, guys. So, from here, Rhonda wanted to stop and get some colorful Phantasmic popcorn.
I did. We still have it.
It was like $18.
I need to eat some of it.
It was colorful popcorn, 0 flavor.
It's supposed to be kettle corn.
You know what has more flavor? Potpourri.
That is not
it
true.
Does. Because it had the texture of potpourri.
Okay.
How do you candy coat popcorn and have 0 flavor whatsoever to it?
Oh,
and it was a little bit stale. So we do still have some if you would like. It couldn't have gotten any worse. And even if it has mold now, that probably will add some flavor to it. Because we certainly didn't get any. Did a little more shopping through the Emporium. I was specifically looking for some I was specifically looking for some Disneyland shirts because they have the buy 2, get them for $25 each, Rachel.
Yeah.
They're not just $25 each, Rachel. That's a inside joke with our good friend Rachel. But anyway, I wanted those, and you this wasn't something you were looking for the whole time. Did you look for this specifically because you're like, hey, we're going home tomorrow and I want to be comfy? Or did you have this type of thing on your list?
So, Jeremy, he has a lot of lounge stuff that I recently lately going, I don't have like a lot of non-Christmas lounge or and I'm like, I need some lounge stuff. And then a lot of things that my lounge stuff he calls pajamas. So I'm like, I need some stuff that does not look like pajamas. And I found this outfit that I was going to get because it was a long sleeve, but then shorts. Well, unfortunately, a cast member told us that it is being discontinued and they did not have my size.
Yeah. So you knew there was no chance.
So I looked every single store because there was a chance that they had a size, but they just didn't have any more in the back or anything. And unfortunately they did not. So I found this one outfit that was lounge, that was long sleeve and long pants. And it was Disneyland. And it was a cream and tan color and then like a pink D for the Disneyland and then Disneyland on the leg. And I was like, and it was really soft. And I was like, we're going to be flying home tomorrow. I was like, and this is a nice lounge outfit that I can wear around my house because we keep our house at 72 degrees. And at night, like I get cold. So maybe instead of wearing a blanket, I'll have this on. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get this. And it was super soft and I love it. So that's what I was buying while y'all were actually watching the Dapper Dance.
Yeah, this was big on Caleb's list. He wanted to see the Dapper Dance. And we went out and we watched basically a full routine or show right there in front of the Disneyland firehouse.
Yeah.
Where right above their head is Walt's apartment.
Super
and the
cool.
light is lit up.
Yeah, that was cool.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was, we'll wrap this whole thing up at the end with some different thoughts and all, but it was one of the most chill, relaxing moments that we had because we didn't take a lot of time to stop and smell the roses on this trip. And this was the one time we truly stopped and smelled every single rose, and it was just wonderful.
Yeah.
It's another one of those things that it's like, I probably would have been so go that we would have seen Dapper Dance and I'd be like, oh, cool, a minute later and walked off. I'm so glad that Caleb was like, I'm going to stand here and watch them. And I was like, well, then I will too.
Yeah.
And it was such a just awesome moment from there. So we had plans for Blue Bayou that night as our closing night dinner for the four of us. Lucy and Caleb were just gassed. And, and earlier I said, do you guys want to go back to the room for a quick break? And Lucy was kind of like, if I go back to the room, I might not make it back out. So we kept doing stuff. And at this point, we're getting closer to dinner time. And she was like, I think we're ready to kind of call it. And I said, all right. I said, we'll go back to the room. Because we want to get ready and pack up because we knew we were going to be out late. You and I were planning to, and we had to get up early. So we went back and basically packed up all our stuff. And then you and I headed back for dinner at the Blue Bayou.
Yes.
First, I want to give a big shout out to Jay, who is the beverage person, I guess. He's coming around and refilling waters and all. He was so friendly.
amazing.
He stopped and chatted with every table more than once.
Yeah.
He always had something nice to say or some sort of conversation to invoke. I would assume that Disneyland folks that go there a lot and have been to Blue Bayou maybe more than once are probably right now going, yeah, we know who Jay is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He seems like one of those Disney cast members that one day shows up on Disney Parks blog with an entire story because of who he is. So big shout out to Jay. This opened in 67 when Pirates opened. So this was all built together. This was made to open then. It was kind of Walt's idea to have this themed dining, and originally it was going to have live entertainment to it.
Okay.
They did a test run, and I actually remember seeing some of this, and I think in one of the maybe Imagineering stories or something.
Okay.
They did a test run and trial dinner in 66, and then Walt Disney basically said, let's not do the live entertainment. We want this, basically, the food and atmosphere will be the show. We don't need anything else. Do you think he was right? How do you feel about the setting, the atmosphere, the everything?
It was cute. It was very like Santa and Hell, and
yes,
where you're eating, it's kind of bustling around, and then you have this ride going by and people on it, which is like the Three Caballeros, and it happens to be pirates. And the outside looks really cool. It felt really cool. It felt like you're kind of in the bayou sitting outside and
nighttime. And it's cool.
Really
it's
cool.
nighttime in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right.
It was really cool.
And they have a lunch and dinner menu and lunch and dinner settings. The menus do vary. So you can get some different things like the Monte Cristo sandwich for lunch that is not available for dinner. And anybody that we mentioned Blue Bayou to said, you got to get the Monte Cristo.
Right. And then when somebody...
I wasn't aware it wasn't on the dinner menu.
Okay, because then somebody said that to me and I go, then why did we get what we got?
Because it wasn't on the dinner menu.
Okay.
But it is something you do. Yeah, it's the great, bringing indoors outdoors, without having to have the bugs and the mosquitoes and stuff. I thought it was just the coolest setting. I loved it. I had heard that it was a must-do because of the atmosphere. I hadn't, other than the Monte Cristo, I hadn't had many people say it's a must-do because of the food. So I had very low expectations on the food.
Yes, we did.
I had to get a mint julep.
Yes.
They have the non-alcoholic mint julep there. It's $7, and Jay will also refill that for you along with water. This was
really
so good.
Yeah.
Like, it came to a point, I think, that Jay came by and said, do you want more mint julep? And I said no, because I knew I would just drink more and more, and I just didn't need to drink any more of it.
Right.
But it was that good, I could drink this all day long.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
And then your stomach would hurt.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because it's sweet enough without being overly like sweet and minty and all. But if you drank too many of them, obviously you'd be like, that was a bad idea. So we kind of were looking at the menu. I know you weren't super starving. I mean, we had been eating nonstop.
We had, and
for 3
unfortunately,
days.
and maybe I needed a break too, and we shouldn't have come out. But I was actually ended up being okay. But my body was kind of talking to me like after we had our we went ahead and got a appetizer and an entree, and we were going to split both of them. After I ate the appetizer, my body was basically like, if you put something else inside me, it's going to come back out. And that's how I felt. And I was like, okay, listen to my body. Don't put anything. I actually took one bite. I was very nervous, but I was like, I think I can do it for research purposes on our entree. And it was really good. And we'll get to that. But yeah, so I just was like, babe, you pick, you get what you want, because I don't know what's gonna, like, I don't know. So
well, I decided to take a huge chance on the appetizer, having heard that the food wasn't always the best here.
Yeah, and I saw them and I was like, babe, what do you think?
And I got the crab cakes.
Uh-huh.
These come with remoulade sauce and a petite apple arugula salad for $18.
There was 2 of them.
2 of them. Rhonda said, can we get the remoulade sauce on the side?
Yes,
because a lot of
I was
times,
afraid they would smear it.
Yeah, they'll smear it on the bottom, or they might even put it on top. I got to say, these probably hit the top 3 crab cakes I've had outside of Maryland or Delaware. They
were fantastic.
You are hard pressed to find crab cakes this good in Florida.
Yeah.
I've said before, I will go to places, honestly, and if they have crab cakes, I will sometime ask, like, where is either the owner or the chef from? If they say anywhere near the Chesapeake, I'm like, okay, I'll order them. Otherwise you get seafood cakes. No, we did not.
We did not ask. And when the waitress came back and we told her how good they were, she smiled very big and was like, I will let the chef know.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh. And I
they were
mentioned
perfect.
that my husband's from Maryland. Yep. So,
a lot of places will serve like a remoulade sauce. I mean, even places in Maryland will.
Yeah.
A good crab cake needs nothing.
Correct.
Right? It stands on its own.
Correct.
And these were meaty. They were jump lumbo.
Yep.
My only disappointment was I wish they were either 4 or each crab cake was twice the size.
Yeah.
Because
they were great.
I'm not joking, and I'm really glad that the entree we got. I could go back here and order 2 of these appetizers and just let that be my meal. Mm-hmm. I'd get 4 smaller crab cakes. I'd get that apple arugula salad, which was outstanding.
That was so good.
It was a nice pairing. It was light and refreshing. But these were all killer, no filler. They were outstanding.
They were really good. And then this is when my body was like, I'm done.
If you are a crab cake, Maryland, Delaware person, and I said this because our friends Amanda and Wayne, who still live in Maryland, and Wayne often is very rude to me, and he will send me photos of legit Maryland crab cakes that he gets from like food trucks, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, when I posted something about them, I think it was Amanda was like, yeah, but...
And
in
you
the
were
comment,
like,
I was like, no,
really?
these are legit.
Yeah.
And I think they would be very happy with them as well.
I do too.
So for dinner, if I go somewhere and I see a filet mignon, it's one of those things I'm like, I got to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get a steak because I think the way that a restaurant does something like a filet mignon or a steak can really set the tone and tell you how they're probably doing the rest of their food. Mm-hmm. If they do a steak really well, chances are the rest of that menu is legit and it's really good. Mm-hmm. Now if they don't do a steak great, it doesn't mean everything else is not good. You just might, you just got to think about it. So I said, I'm going to get the filet mignon. This comes with mashed potatoes, spinach, mushrooms, and crispy shallots. This is $54. Mm-hmm. I got it medium rare like I always do. Mm-hmm. This is a nice, big, pretty decent sized filet. Mm-hmm. I would guess 6 to 8 ounces, which is pretty good. Nice thick filet. Mm-hmm. Very super creamy mashed potatoes. I enjoyed the flavor the mushrooms gave the potatoes almost as a gravy without me having to eat the mushroom portion because I don't care for the mushrooms, right? Yep. Crispy shallots, spinach was good. Steak was outstanding. To me, it was a little more between medium rare and rare when you truly got to the center because it was such a thick cut.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me. I got you to have the one bite and you enjoyed it. I ate the rest of it.
It was.
The seasoning on the outside.
It wasn't chewy.
No.
It was
like this was probably a reverse seared done steak.
Yeah.
So the inside was perfect and then it got a nice crispy sear with just some salt and pepper on the outside. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I was very impressed by the food here when I
Yeah.
didn't expect to be.
Yeah.
So that made me extremely happy. And to be honest, after being on this 4th day, we spent some money sitting down at this meal and splitting these two. I think worked out perfectly just to kind of end our last meal.
Yeah.
Instead of walking out there dropping probably a good $200 otherwise.
Right.
We were able to get out of there for like under $100.
Yep.
Maybe it was a little more once we tipped.
Yep.
So that part was just awesome.
Yes.
So I think we had mentioned about Radiator Springs Racers and that all day, we wanted to ride it at night, but all day, every time I looked to purchase a single pass, the return time started within 5 minutes.
Yeah. So this is the one when we discussed that basically, we were sitting at dinner.
About halfway to 3/4 way through the meal,
Jeremy
or maybe when
realized-
we asked for the check, I was like, I better look.
Yeah.
So I grabbed it, and the start time was 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
So we went ahead, we finished up, paid the bill, and we went over to DCA. We went right to, we took a slight turn the wrong way down a path over in Radiator Springs, but then we realized where the entry was. We went back, we rode it at night, nighttime thoughts.
Incredible. So exciting. Like this would be one that I would want to do both. I would want to do day and night if I could, but if I had to pick, I would pick night.
Yeah. I'll compare this to how I felt about Big Thunder. Daytime is awesome. Nighttime is a whole other ball game. And if you are going to go and ride this and you say, I want to try it both day and night, get your daytime ride first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think the nighttime is that much better.
Yep.
Now, obviously, the indoor portions are going to be the same, but when you hit that outdoor portion, it is the theming during the day at that portion is so good, but at night it kind of goes that Pandora level.
Yeah.
Pandora during the day and Pandora during the night
That's true.
are different.
Yeah.
And this is all of Radiator
Right.
Springs is different.
Right.
The whole land is
Yes.
better at night, even though it is incredible at daytime.
Right.
So that just goes to show you how awesome this is.
Yes.
So from there, we headed on back to Disneyland to catch one of the final nighttime shows we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Which is their version of fireworks over the castle,
Yeah.
Aurora's tiny little castle. You don't have to shoot the fireworks as high, so I bet that saves money, right? And we saw Mickey's Mix Magic. Now, this is light up the night at this high-energy show celebrating Disney's legendary duo, Mickey and Minnie Mouse. I'm going to get one thing out of the way first, then you can talk about it. This does not belong in Disneyland Park. This belongs in Disney's California Adventure.
Okay.
Now let's talk
I'll
about
agree.
it. Let's talk about it, though.
Well, first of all, it was just amazing to be on Main Street and not have like people,
1 billion people there.
Yeah. And then you know what I noticed too, where I was like, wow, there wasn't like everybody didn't have a phone or an iPad
really didn't.
And then I think I saw only one child
On
on a
shoulders.
shoulder, and they
Yeah.
were so far in front of me that it didn't matter. And I
Right.
was like, holy crap, this
No,
is
you're right.
incredible.
You're right now that I think about it.
I'm
You are
like,
correct.
Wow, I can wow, this is sad that
It was almost as though we were watching fireworks with a civilized nation.
that's
Unlike
amazing.
Disney World.
So this is very get up and dance and party.
It's a dance
and
party with
it
fireworks.
Is. It is.
It's awesome.
It is.
I just don't think it
music
fits
was
Disneyland
great.
because of that. You know what I mean?
Well, and I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Because and I say that the music was great, but it's not your happily ever after. It's
No.
not your soothing, sweet.
It's not emotional.
It's not. It was fantastic, and I enjoyed it, and I loved all the fireworks, and I could, being where we were on Main Street, I could see all of the projections.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I really, really liked it. I'm glad I saw it. And it was one of those things where if I was in Disneyland Park,
You would watch it.
I'd be like, oh, we're here.
Yep.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah, let's stay. But if I was in DCA and we were riding rides or we were doing something and we were like, oh, we got to get over there, I'd be like, I'm okay. We don't have to.
You wouldn't make a plan.
Correct.
To have to see this
Like I
and plan
would.
other things around it the way you would with a happily ever after.
Correct.
I think that's fair. And again, I thought it was great. It was
I did too.
it was fun. It was a great way
I loved
to
it.
end
Yes.
for the most part our trip.
Yes.
And you and I standing there was wonderful.
Yes.
But that wasn't the end. Because from there we did go and we did Jungle Cruise at night.
Yeah, we did.
And we sped around that thing at nighttime.
We
It's
did.
about as fast as Radiator Springs, to be honest. That thing, there's like, I don't know what kind of dual jet engines they're putting on the back of those boats, but it really is like.
And then it's dark, so then it's like, wait.
Even more so, it's hard to
what do you
take
think?
everything
What do you
in.
think?
But I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
And then for me, I wanted to classically kind of end the night. So we went and did Haunted Mansion as the very last thing we did.
Yep.
Before we headed back to the room to go to bed and get
we
up Sunday morning and fly home.
We could have done Pirates. And
we could have done a couple other things.
Done a few other things because it wasn't closing until midnight.
Yep.
But Jeremy was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like let's end on Haunt. And I was like, oh, because I was like, y'all, like
we almost were going to do Hyperspace Mountain again.
I didn't even take a nap that day.
Yeah.
And I literally was ready to close down the park and walk home around 1 a.m.
Yep.
And I was shocked at Jeremy, but I was like, babe, whatever you want to do. Because
I just thought it was like, as much as I loved Hyperspace Mountain, I don't think that would have been the perfect ending.
Yeah.
You know, as much as
And I was
Pirates would have been a good ending.
Yeah.
I think either of those two would have. But even like Radiator Springs Racers at nighttime wasn't going to be the perfect ending. To me, it was Haunted Mansion. You know, again, let's go back to an original Walt attraction.
Yep.
You know, let's go back to something we had already ridden, I think, twice before this trip and absolutely loved it. You know, let's go back to something that is one of our favorite rides at Walt Disney World and Magic Kingdom. And let's just end this on the highest note possible. And that's what we did. Yep. You know, and then Sunday morning, we got up. We Ubered this time to the airport. We did pay whatever, $75 for a taxi. Yeah. Worked out well. Yep. I love S&A Airport. It is easy to get into. It is easy to get out of. It was awesome. Yep. I much preferred flying through Love Field in Dallas on the way home. Yep. I think really broke up the trip.
Yeah, because it was 2.5 hours each way.
Yeah, and then we landed in MCO. We got to our car, got our luggage pretty quickly. Drove home. We hit maybe 15 minutes of traffic. I can say it now. Our travel getting there and back was almost as perfect as any travel getting anywhere and back could be. Other than the 15 minutes of light traffic on the way back home on Sunday from the airport, everything went off without a hit. It was amazing.
It was.
Absolutely amazing.
It was.
So you want to close this down? Our 4-episode arc of Disneyland. We're going to go through a couple of wrap-up questions. What was your best meal of the entire trip? Either maybe individual entree or like sit down. It doesn't even have to be the food. It could just be.
I feel like I didn't
atmosphere.
Have,
could be like
a meal myself, like
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It could have been Carthay Circle Lounge where we all sat down. It could have been Lamplight Lounge. It could have been Blue Bayou. It could have been any of those. I'd have to only give it to Blue Bayou because it was the last night.
Yeah.
The food was so good.
Yeah.
The atmosphere was amazing. So I would select Blue Bayou overall. Yeah, as my favorite meal of the trip, I think.
And now I feel like I would too, just because we just talked about it. Like that's hard too. Okay.
All right. Well, let's talk about what was your favorite attraction overall. I think we know.
Web slingers.
Yeah. Incredicoaster.
Oh.
If again, and that's just my gut reaction.
That's sad that you didn't get to ride it again because you wanted to.
Yeah. I just okay. Radiator Springs Racers was amazing, but I knew it was amazing.
Okay.
People will talk about Incredicoaster, but I don't feel like anybody came up and was like, dude, Incredicoaster is incredible. I thought it was incredible. I was blown away.
Okay.
Like it was so surprising to me how great it was. I thought, cool. A wooden style air coaster on a pier, on a boardwalk, whatever. That'll be fun. It was awesome. Yeah. I loved it. All right. What surprised you the most?
I'm gonna say two things.
Okay.
The monorail and the bobsleds. I was going to
say Mission Breakout and how much you disliked it.
Okay, 3 then.
Okay.
Because all those surprised me. I was shocked.
Because you just didn't care for them.
And I just was shocked that it wasn't. I'm like, I thought I would, Do
you have a most maybe positive surprise? Because those are kind of like negative surprises. I'm trying to think of one. I don't know if I have one because again, most everything just lived up to the hype. Yeah, like they really did. And that's why I think. I mean, if anything, again, I'd almost say the Blue Bayou food. Oh, Hyperspace Mountain, 100%. That was my that was the biggest surprise.
That was my biggest surprise. Okay. That was positive.
Cool,
because it was amazing.
Is there a snack specifically that lived up to the hype for
That
you? I know you didn't
churros
have a
were
lot of hype.
great.
Oh yeah, those churros were amazing. The creme brulee.
And the beignets were fantastic.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. I will specifically go with beignets because Jossie had hyped them up for me.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
on point.
Yeah.
They were outstanding.
Outstanding.
What was your favorite land in each park? Let's start with Disneyland Park. What was your favorite land there? I'm honestly going to go New Orleans Square.
I was going to say probably like the Adventureland, like that, like,
And the way it
going
moved into New Orleans and all that. It was a great, talk about a great transition from something like Adventureland into,
you see the treehouse, you see the,
it was just awesome.
It was really cool.
Loved that. Let's see. What Disneyland exclusive experience stood out the most? Would that still be maybe web slingers for you? Like, again, something we don't have in Disney World that they have out there. Was there anything that was like just stood out? I'd have to go back with Incredicoaster. I guess it's kind of the same question in a way, but I thought it was just awesome. It was, you know what it was? It was incredible.
I think one of the ones that stood out the most was having our pictures done in the very beginning by the castle.
By Xander. Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%.
That was amazing.
That was. All right. Would you change anything about our itinerary next time? And this could be twofold. If you could go back in time, would you change what we did in any way? And considering the next time we go, would you do things differently? You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't change anything we did.
I wouldn't change a single thing.
I would, if we went back, I would change, not change.
When we go back, Rhonda.
Okay, so speaking of that, yes, a win, but I realized, and we'll just discuss it right now on the podcast because I didn't say anything to you, but I've been hear me out.
Okay, fair enough.
And Amy, if you're listening, I've been thinking like this is only 6 months. We got to pay it off, like, and the amount it was. I think she needs to look at Alani for us. I think Tokyo. I think Paris.
You would look at all those ahead of going back.
Absolutely, because if you can, if
you're
we
aware
paid
that those prices aren't going to be near the same, correct?
Okay, maybe not.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
By the time we get things, like, I don't know.
We'll take a look.
I think it is something to look at rather than if you're going to say take a certain amount to go back to Disneyland. And since we've done it, why not go somewhere and
so your thought is if we planned and did and paid for Disneyland in 6 months, what could we do in a year's time planning?
Or another 6 months or something.
Right.
I mean,
that makes sense.
Because right now we've got the Destiny next year.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
You know, I mean, why don't we look at the following? There's just, I don't know. My point was, yes, when we go back to California, and yes, but I don't feel like that, unfortunately, will be on my list within the next few years.
That makes 100% sense.
I would like to go check out Tokyo.
Okay.
And maybe take Kaylin, and then maybe, I just, yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, when we go back then, I would just stop and smell more roses.
I would too, and I would want to focus on, now that we've gotten everything out of the way, to focus on what like we would and would not want to ride, and let you ride coaster and Incredicoaster a couple of times. We would do the death wheel just because
we'd also make more of
hyperspace every day.
I wouldn't change anything because listen to these 4 episodes.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that we accomplished is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But I would have a little bit more of a plan in the sense of let's go to Disneyland Park and let's start in Adventureland, and let's work our way around and end in Tomorrowland, where we were very zigzaggy.
Yeah.
Same thing with DCA.
Yeah.
I would say let's start here and make the path to end here, and plan everything in between. But I love the way that we did it. I thought our itinerary worked out so well. We had some of the best company in the world. We had such a great time.
Yep.
This is, core memories, and this will go down as one of my favorite trips ever.
Yes.
I have said currently it is my second favorite Disney-related trip we've done. And number one was December 2022 when we did Christmas with the family, the four of us. And, that gets a major, major number one spot because we had the girls with us and we had a wonderful time. So that, unfortunately, is going to do it for our Disneyland wrap-up. On the next episode, we had asked for some Q&A questions. We got probably the most we've ever got. So we are going to do 2 episodes of that, but we're going to sandwich in between those this trip to Epic Universe. So we will let you know all of our thoughts on Epic Universe, which we are super excited about. So please, please, please subscribe. You're going to hear our Q&A, Epic Universe, Main Street Main Street Challenge weekend, all of that good stuff. Hit subscribe Tuesday and Friday. Of course, Rhonda and I would be very, very thankful if you could please leave us a rating and review.
Because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon. Are you planning a Disney or Universal vacation? Make it seamless with Vacation Grocery Delivery. They deliver fresh groceries right to your resort so you can skip the store and start your vacation as soon as possible. We absolutely love using their service. There's no price markups on items, and they've never canceled an order like some of those other services. Plus, their team is comprised of former Disney cast members who ensure top-notch service. And we want to give a big thank you to Vacation Grocery Delivery for being the sponsor of this year's Main Street 16 Challenge Weekend. Visit VacationGroceryDeliveryFL.com to place your order and tell them Main Street Magic sent you. We're excited to announce Balanced Weather, your go-to source for smart, reliable weather updates tailored for Walt Disney World and all of Central Florida. CEO Alan Gerard, a meteorologist and lifelong Disney fan, has been providing weekly weather reports to the Main Street Magic community for years. And now he'll be bringing you weekly forecasts plus answers to your questions about weather for your upcoming Disney, Universal, or Florida vacation. Visit balancedweather.com/WDW-weather to learn more and get the latest updates.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.